Good morning and welcome to the Public File. I'm Doug Thomas, and my guest this morning is Melissa Moya. She is the founder and CEO of the Lyme Fight Foundation. Good morning, Melissa.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great.
I was looking at your website, lymefightfoundation.org, and the goal is to develop strong partnerships and work together to establish a support system for people suffering from Lyme disease. Ultimately, you guys are hoping to save lives, change ways of thinking, and find a cure. Very nice to meet you, Melissa. Tell me a little bit more about yourself.
I'm the founder and CEO of Lyme Fight Foundation. I live in Sacramento, and I have 2 daughters, and this is kind of a new adventure for me, but I am enjoying it very much.
Tell me a little bit more about the Lyme Fight Foundation.
So the Lyme Fight Foundation, we just opened July 1st, so we were very excited about that. Like you said, our goal is to provide support for those that have Lyme disease, either in accurate testing and or treatment. We would like to provide education to the community on just information about ticks and Lyme disease, as well as prevention. Our future goal is to see if we can make some change in the medical coverage, as well as a little bit more support with the government.
What's the history of your organization? I know you guys are brand new, but what went into putting it together?
The foundation started as my personal silver lining to my struggle with Lyme disease. I was diagnosed last October.
Oh, boy.
After a struggle of over about 3 years searching to what was wrong with me. My hope was to be able to help others not have to go through such a lengthy process to find out what was wrong and be able to get their treatment sooner. So it was my silver lining to the journey that I am on at the moment.
Right. I was just going to say, I know, unfortunately, you have a very close connection to this under-researched health issue. What is Lyme disease and what causes it?
Lyme disease is an illness caused by a bacteria called Borrelia, and it's contracted through a bite of an infected black-legged tick, or otherwise known as a deer tick. These ticks can also carry co-infections. Lyme disease is the most common infection that most people know about in ticks. The co-infections, there's several of them, and it further complicates one's disease diagnosis as well as the treatment. Lyme disease is also known as the great imitator. It is also mistaken sometimes for ALS, MS, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and several others. So it's very hard sometimes to know that Lyme disease is in fact what you have.
Yeah, that's just what you need. Let's make it more complicated.
It does make it a challenge, I will say that.
Well, you are a brave woman for sharing your personal journey. Tell me more about what you've gone through.
The journey started about 3 years ago when I was not feeling so well, and there's been several tests and several MRIs and a variety of doctors. And at one point, they thought I had MS. I have gone to even San Francisco to seek doctor treatment. Nobody was able to really figure out what was wrong here. So I ended up sending my case to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. We traveled over there. Unfortunately, they were not able to figure out Lyme. They categorized it as fibromyalgia. I was lucky and fortunate enough to have a friend that lives in Minnesota, and she has an amazing LLMD, which is a Lyme literate doctor. And I was able to go in there and let him know my symptoms, and right away he knew exactly what test I needed to have. I found out that I have Lyme in 3 of the co-infections again last November. That day definitely, truly changed my life at that point. The journey of being diagnosed is long, as well as the treatment that follows. I realize that there's no real support here in Sacramento for Lyme disease or even the education. So I actually travel to San Rafael every week for my doctor and my treatment. So that was a reason for my foundation. I really feel there needs to be somewhere in Sacramento that we would be able to, seek treatment and testing for.
Absolutely. Wow. I can't believe you had to go through a 3-year battle to get a proper diagnosis, and even going to the Mayo Clinic. I mean, they're world renowned and they couldn't figure it out.
Yes, unfortunately not. I do have to say they are wonderful there. We'll get to that point, but your average Lyme test is not an accurate testing. You need a little bit further and different tests for that. So unfortunately, they just don't do that there yet, but maybe at some point they will.
Right. Hey, and that's what you're working on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, my dad and my brother both have MS, and it was tough to get to that diagnosis. Like you said, very similar, where you've got all these symptoms, but you can't really put a bow on it and just call it one thing. So, and of course, regarding MS, they always say that it's not hereditary, but I beg to differ.
I'm kind of with you on that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
And it's very hard if you don't fit in that little tiny box. No one knows what you have. So
exactly.
It's a challenge for sure.
That's why I always say these guys are practicing medicine, and one day maybe they'll get it right.
Correct.
Just kidding if there's any doctors listening. So, Melissa, what are some of the symptoms, and what should I do if I think I might have Lyme disease?
So Lyme disease has 3 stages. Each stage and the symptoms usually progress into the next stage. The rate of which Lyme disease spreads varies depending on the person and the symptoms. The early stages, which is a couple days or a week or so, you would have a skin rash, headache, or a stiff neck. Your flu-like symptoms can include fever or chills, muscle and joint pain, fatigue, lack of energy. If you don't catch it in time, then you kind of go into the stage 2, which is weeks and months. You might have multiple skin rashes, heart palpitations, fainting, pain and numbness in your arms and legs, profound fatigue, headache, lack of energy. Bell's palsy in your face is somewhat a common thing once it gets a little...
oh, my goodness.
When we get into the months. Poor memory and the inability to concentrate is definitely one of the main symptoms. And then if you get into the late stages, which is months and even years, you can have arthritis, nervous system problems that include numbness and tingling of your hands, legs, feet, back, problems with your memory, of course, your hearing, vision. It affects your brain and your heart and your central nervous system. Unfortunately, there are estimated about 500,000 Americans that are struggling with the late stage of Lyme disease. So it's very hard if you don't know what you have and you're not treating it. It just unfortunately gets worse as it goes along.
Yeah, like you said, it almost took you 3 years to get properly diagnosed. And I'm sure if anybody's listening right now, they're probably wondering right now, hey, is there a cure for Lyme disease?
Oh, the cure. Their prevention, of course, is key, and catching it early to be able to have a better chance of a so-called cure. More than 30% of people don't even experience that bullseye rash that we're talking about, so they don't know they even have it. And if you are in the late stages, you're really working towards remission is what you're looking for. Like personally, my goal is to be in remission in 3 to 5 years. So there's no real cure for it unless you catch it early. You have definitely a better chance. But once it's in your body a little bit longer, remission is what your goal would be.
I gotcha. So it kind of takes hold and doesn't want to go anywhere. And so rather than a cure, you're just looking for remission.
Correct.
You're listening to The Public File. I'm Doug Thomas, and my guest this morning is Melissa Moya. She is the founder and CEO of Lyme Fight Foundation, and that website, once again, lymefightfoundation.com. lymefoundation.org, and Lyme is Lyme. Another quote from your website: one tick bite can change your life forever. Let's work together to change that, which is a perfect setup for this because it actually happened to me once and I remained surprisingly calm. But for next time, what should I do if I find a tick on either me or my dog?
Oh, yes. If you find a tick, do not just yank it out. Please use some pointy tweezers if you can. The goal is to get it out as well as the head. So you want to definitely be gentle when you take it out. If you don't have tweezers, you can use your fingers and do the best you can to get it out. Protect yourself if you're using your fingers with a plastic bag, and definitely wash afterwards. Do not squeeze the tick. Take the time to remove it carefully. Do not use a match or liquid to smother the tick or any approach like that. The goal is to be able to remove it as a whole because we want to actually have it tested, and that is your better chance of knowing if that is an infected tick or not.
Okay. Yeah, it was really strange. I looked down and it was on my arm, and I thought, oh, okay. And so I panicked, and I thought, okay, no, just take a deep breath, calm yourself down. You've heard about this before. So actually, I had heard that tweezers is the best way to go, and so I was lucky. I went, and he hadn't started doing any damage yet, and I was able to grab the whole tick by the tweezers and drop him right into the toilet. So I didn't get a chance to bring him in for testing, but at least I got him off my arm.
Absolutely, yes.
It's the little things. You were saying that you'd like to get it tested, but how do we do that? What do I do with a tick once it's been removed?
Yes, please save it. And they can be tested if they're alive or dead, so either way works. If you remove the tick and he is still alive, if you can store it in a damp paper towel or cotton swab and seal it in a plastic bag, you also would probably want to secure him on a little piece of paper. If the tick is dead, you don't need to do all that. Please do not store it in alcohol or anything such as that. It compromises the test results. When you do save it, if you can mark the date, the location where the tick was, example, like what park or maybe at home, your address, those type of things. Write down the location on the body where you found him, maybe your leg or, like you said, on your arm. And then any other details that you can think of for your symptoms, if you happen to have any. Definitely write all that down. And then once you have all that, there's several labs that you can send it to. You just mail him off and they will test it. There's quite a few, so if you get to that point, you can go to our website and let me know, and I can send off some ideas on places that you can send to get it tested. It's definitely easier to test the tick to know if there's a chance of you having anything than you going through the process, for sure. So let's not throw him in the toilet.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like you said, I mean, early detection is the key to fighting Lyme disease.
That it is, yes. And if we can just send him off and know if he's, affected or not, then you'll know what you need to do. So that is the number one key. And an easy process, so that's wonderful.
Well, you know what? This doesn't sound like any fun. So what's the best way to avoid dealing with ticks in the first place? What are some of your best prevention tips?
Your best is avoid areas where they live. They love wood piles and long grass and leafy areas. Wear light-colored clothing, long pants, long sleeves, socks. The light-colored helps you know if they're there. Of course, apply tick repellent on your skin and even your clothes and shoes. If you've been in an area such as that, you can put your clothes in the dryer on a high temperature for about 10 or 15 minutes, and that will remove them. And definitely examine yourself and your pets before you guys enter your house. And that will definitely help. Some of the other preventions are, stay in the middle of a trail when you're walking along, avoid long grasses, even sitting on a log or leaning on a tree, they really like to just find that host to hang on to, and wear hats and things like that will definitely help in prevention.
Where are ticks normally found in the Sacramento region?
They like wood piles and long grass, and an example in our area would be the American River Parkway. If you're on those trails, be very careful. They did have that on the news that they were out there checking for ticks out there. So any area in Sacramento that you're hiking or anything like that with long grass, just be very aware. And if you could stay in the middle of the trail, that would be wonderful. Or maybe stay on the bike trail.
There you go. Yeah, you just got to be faster than the tick, right?
You do, yes. Maybe if you're super fast, you'll be fine.
There you go. We touched on this a little bit too as well. What about the healthcare and insurance challenges? What kind of traction are you getting with the Lyme Fight Foundation?
Well, during my journey, I have found that your typical doctor's office does not have that accurate test. Like I told you, the false negative result is definitely a common thing to get.
Right.
Unfortunately, when you go to an LLMD doctor, which is your Lyme literate doctor, they are patient paid only, so they do not take insurance, and they are unfortunately very costly. The CDC currently only covers 30 days of antibiotics for Lyme, and like I said, my journey is 3 to 5 years, so that gives you an idea. And just to give you an idea on the cost of treatment, my personal, I have one daily dose of antibiotics at my doctor's office is $1,200.
Oh, my goodness.
And I have antibiotics 3 times a week. I have a detox once a week. I take over 100 pills a day.
What?
And they run about $500 a month for my pills. My doctor's office is about $260 an hour. So that gives you kind of an idea on the expense. It's definitely a very expensive journey, and insurances I have not found cover. I mean, for an example, I sent a $6,500 bill up for one of my treatments, and my insurance only paid $800 of that. So it just gives you an idea of the help that this particular treatment needs, for
wow.
sure.
Oh, my goodness. I know. I always say about insurance companies, they love taking our money, but they just don't like writing checks.
Yes, they don't. How silly is that?
Wow. Yeah. So the Lyme Fight Foundation, you got your work cut out for you as far as getting any traction and making progress on that. Boy, that's just ridiculous.
It is. So that's why we're hoping if maybe we can provide grants for now for some of the treatments, we can lessen that burden for those individuals. It's very hard to have to make that decision to, put food on the table or pay for your medicine, and I don't think anybody needs to make that. So
right.
We hope that we can help, and we hope that we can make some changes for even the insurance part of it. It should be something that's covered.
Where can I get more information about the Lyme Fight Foundation or donate to the cause? Are you guys on social media?
We are. You can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram. Of course, our website that you shared, LymeFightFoundation.org. We have on our website a donation site there. We always welcome new ideas, volunteers. It's kind of a group effort, so that would be wonderful if anybody even just has a wonderful idea or wants to share their time. That would be great.
Sponsors and volunteers are the backbone of a foundation like yours. Can you use any help?
Absolutely. I would love help. The more people that are together working, I think the better we will do with getting our message out, for sure. And I have to say that the amount of support that we've had and since we started has just been amazing. So yes, help is always welcome.
And the best way for sponsors and potential volunteers and donations, just go to the website, limefightfoundation.org. Well, I'll tell you what, Melissa, believe it or not, we're running out of time. What are some last thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners today?
I would like to first thank you for having us on your show. That is so wonderful. I also want anybody that is currently dealing with Lyme disease, I would like them to know that they are not alone. And if they need just a pick-me-up for the day or advice or anything like that, please go to our website, and we have a peer support group there. So please sign up. Don't feel like you're by yourself. You can personally contact me if you like. So for those that are struggling with it, I want them to also know that we're here for them in whatever we can help with, even if it's just advice or, someone to talk to for the day.
Wow. I learned a lot this morning. Holy smokes, Melissa. Yeah, I had no idea. And you started the Lyme Fight Foundation just a couple of weeks ago, and you've got your work cut out for you.
That we do. And I think, all together with everyone's support, I think we're going to make it. I'm very excited.
Thank you so much for your time this morning. Melissa Moya is the founder and CEO of Lyme Fight Foundation. That website, once again, limefightfoundation.org. And you guys are also on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much, Melissa.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
This has been The Public File. If you'd like us to help get the word out about your nonprofit, send an email to sacpsa@entercom.com, sacpsa@entercom.com. I'm Doug Thomas. Stay safe, stay connected, and thanks for listening.